Welcome to the Beyond the Veil with Daniel Jackson podcast, the podcast where we head down the road of the supernatural and beyond. So sit back and hold on as we take a ride together to what lies in the unknown and beyond the veil. Beyond the Veil with Daniel Jackson presents guest host, international spirit medium, Michelle Carpenter. Michelle has a gift of seeing into a person's body, mind, and spirit. She can sense when a person's heart contracts, when it feels sadness or pain, and expands when their vibration shifts in the moment of grieving or allowing vulnerability. She has shown where feelings are held within the body and mind, working on a deeper level of the subconscious programming. She works with past lives, intergenerational trauma, and ancestral trauma, and connects with the spirit of loved ones who are passed over. She also channels angelic beings of light called Council of Eight. And now your host, Daniel Jackson, with part 2 of Love is Why We Are Here.
We were taught to not have any faith in ourselves or not have any love within ourselves, or not actually to learn and listen and pay attention to what our feelings are telling us. We're told to not go that way, but just talk yourself out of it and do something different. Well, no, why do I have to talk myself out of it? Just because you tell me to? It doesn't mean I have to, but it's hard to do when that's all we're taught.
And that's the thing, we get so thrown off our center, center being this, our soul center. And we're a lot of the times, and because we're not taught to trust,
right?
And then there's another flip side to that, where I've seen a lot of younger parents where they actually talk for the children, and I'm not innocent in this either. I'm still learning to be a good, great mother. That's why I wanted to change me. I wanted to work on me because I wanted to be good for me, but also better mother to my children.
Sure.
And a better wife. But when parents say, I can see you feel frustrated, or I know that you're feeling frustrated right now, and the kid's just having a tantrum, and it's like, don't give the kid the words, just let the kid behave, let the kid just have the moment, because it's going to be a moment. And if you watch children, they have the moment, which for us as parents might sound like it's 2 hours of crying, but it might be 5 minutes of having a little temper tantrum, but then their body unwinds and they're like, oh, alrighty, and then they're off they go again, and they're back in the present moment. We're not taught that. A lot of us as adults haven't been taught that, and so it's just so multi-leveled and multi-layered, as we are multi-dimensional beings, aren't we? And that's what's beautiful, is that these times of change are most certainly bringing a different perception, a different amount of compassion and kindness. I'm most certainly seeing it in my world, and that's where I say to anybody, just feel into what the vibration of, for me, forgiveness and compassion are very similar in the vibration of who we are. It's just a different word.
And
I love it.
We
very
need
strong
to learn
yes,
to pay.
Daniel.
We need to learn to pay more attention to that. But that's the problem. We need to fix that problem. Is teaching our children to pay attention to all that, to actually let them experience it, and not just try to take it away from them every single time. But we do.
Yes, absolutely.
Because the world just oh boy, the world.
The world.
I know, the world. It just doesn't always work for us all the time, but we do have to learn to work around it. So beyond all that stuff, when you do mainly the trauma stuff. What other things do you do for people besides just helping them with their trauma?
So I call myself, or my labels are, grief and trauma intuitive, because when we're working through the trauma, the grieving comes. I then connect to spirit, to loved ones who have passed over, and they come through me, sometimes in their personality, and they show me how they were in the physical human body that they were. I find that, again, that's also part of the grieving, whether somebody lost a loved one 3 months ago, or somebody lost somebody 30 years ago. In the moment, when somebody's having a big cry, it feels like they lost them yesterday. So that's part of the grieving as well. And they're very beautiful. I often find that spirit gives such beautiful messages,
Yeah.
which helps the human move forward in their direction.
Learning to let it go.
Learning to let it go. And as I was discussing with you early on, sometimes when the messages are coming through, I'll say to a person, just whatever's not resonating right now, just let it go.
Yeah.
And you will know
You'll get it later.
in 3 months' time or 6 months' time, like, that's what my mom meant, or that's what my brother meant, or
Right.
whatever. And so that for me is also part of working through the grieving. And then I channel the Council of Eight, which are angelic beings of light, and they're
And how
shown.
do you connect with them?
I close my eyes and I take a few breaths, and they always say to me, "We are ready." And as they come through, they sometimes have a little bit of a clicking sound in the back of my my mouth that comes through, but they speak very much about frequency. They speak very much about vibration. They already know, if I have a client sitting opposite me, they already know what's going on in that human's life.
Sure.
And their information is, I've asked them to keep it simple and to keep it light and to keep it where a human can interpret what they are saying directly through this portal.
Right.
And and they often will say things like, "We think you humans are so funny." I don't remember a lot of the channeling.
Neither do I.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Neither do
That's
I. Yeah,
wonderful for
because
me.
it just comes through when
It comes directly through.
And for usually when I do a channel message, when it comes through for somebody, it just comes out, just keeps rambling right
Yes.
through and all through. And then I come out of it and I'm like, holy crap. Okay.
Yes.
But I always tell people, like, when I do a reading for them, to bring their phone with them or something to record that with,
Yes.
because I'm not going to remember usually what comes through. Don't ask me about it 6 months from now, because I'm not going to remember it, because
100%.
it was
Yes.
just meant to come through the way that it flowed through, and then that's it, and
For sure.
Yeah.
And it's interesting you said that, because I used to take it quite personally. Like, somebody would come to me for a reading or a session, and then I wouldn't hear from them for like 3 to 6 to 9 months. And they'd say, "Michelle, there was such a wealth of
It
information."
was so much to process.
And I was like, "Okay, I'll take that as a compliment." But I used to take it quite personally, like, what did I do wrong? Like, what?
No,
But there's just so much information that can come
it's a
through in
lot.
1 hour.
Yeah, it's a lot. And
Yes.
they always tell me at the end of a reading, they always say, "That's a lot to comprehend. That's a lot to go through." And I say, well, that's
Yes.
what, like, if I do a Zoom reading for someone, we record the session for them and then we give it to them. So they could go, like back in the day when we were using VHS tapes, if you have to know what it is again, just rewind and you can go back to it. And then,
Correct.
yeah, because
Yes.
it is a lot for them to grasp. But because for us, we get it all the time. We are so it's brought to us all the time, and we're hearing messages all the time. It's easier for us to pick up on it and then work right through it. Where we're regular people, it's a lot of information for them to get all at one time, and it's very sometimes overwhelming for them.
Yes, very much
Yeah.
so. And I agree. I do the same. I always record on their phones, or do the same on Zoom too,
Write it
because
down.
it can be very overwhelming. And that's what I came to realize over time. So those are the ways that I work. And sometimes even in one session, all three can, like, if somebody says they would love a channeling with a Council of Eight, as soon as there's something that the body needs to release, what will happen is the Council of Eight say, "We're going to hand over to Michelle," and then I would go in and I'd say, "Okay, this is where I'm feeling it in your throat, or I'm feeling it in your heart or your liver, whatever. Let's just take you into that part of your body." And then I whistle, I chant, or music. Like I said, I use a lot of music in my therapy work.
Yeah, because people don't realize. They do, but they don't or understand what's going on, especially with music. Where I tell people all the time, if you ever listen to that one song that gets you and you get those goosebumps, that's your soul connecting with you. That's not just because it's a
Yes.
nervous thing and you like that song. That's a vibrational thing that's happening with you, that you're connecting on such a higher level that you're not even paying attention to. So go out and try to find out as much as you can, and then you'll realize you are more than just this meat suit here. You are a
Yes.
high vibrational being that picks up on so many things. But again, we're taught that, this is not something we should pay attention to. I just blow it off. It's not really nothing, but
Yeah,
feel
for
like
sure.
the same thing where you're thinking about somebody for a while, next thing you know, they call you on the telephone. Hello? I mean, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
just it's unfortunate. But again, when like I said, when people come up and say, "Oh, I wish I had this about you. I wish I had that." The thing about it is that I try to tell people that, some of us, when we wake up into this baby body and then we come through, then things happen to us because we are meant to be something more for other people. As I say, some of us are just meant to be teachers and others just meant to be students, and that's just the way it is. And
Mm.
hopefully we can teach the rest of the world to pick up on everything, so it's not, they don't have to solely come to us for everything. They can learn to help themselves, and that's the thing I try to
Yes,
teach people the most.
beautiful. And even in the student and teacher of who we are, it's we need each other. We both
Yes,
need the
absolutely.
students, and we need the teachers, and that's what I have a very good friend, Jill Cole, who we often, she will hypnotize me, and I've started channeling, and the information that's coming through has been profound, in a different way from when I'm channeling the Council of Eight, and it's different beings that I'm meeting out there in the field. And it's interesting that you use the word meat suit, because she also spoke about this is the meat suit, but yet if you think about it, that we have trillions of cells, and every cell has a memory. Every cell is a little antenna that's going toot, 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 toot. Now,
Picking up on
could you
everything.
imagine how big our souls are? If you just think
Right.
of that, if you just think of what our body physically is holding on to, and our souls are massive and they hold so much information. And that for me is where we all unlocking. A lot of people
Right.
are wakening up. And yes, there's the devastation, which is the lower vibrational 3D world in which we live in, which you've got, unfortunately, which
But
is,
we're here to learn.
but we're here to learn, exactly. And it is, I've honestly enjoyed the fact that, I've realized that every time my soul has gone through an expansion, the teacher or the student will come into my space. And Jill has been one of those, because she connects with the Galactic Federation of Light. And when I first met her, like 3.5 years ago, I kept thinking to myself, this is too much, man. Oh, this is too much. And not because of Jill, but just because it just completely overwhelmed me, and I was in
Right.
fear, and I was like, what do you mean there's more? What do you mean there's actually more, And I've had the most interesting thing happen. My screen is just completely switched. I was initially looking at you at the left, and now I'm looking at you at the right. That is just fascinating. That is just, hold on, let me lower my hand. I don't know why my hand's up. That is so funny. Lower hand. There we go. It's just switched again.
Yes, I just saw
Alrighty.
something switch in the corner
Yeah,
in your
sorry.
screen and not in mine.
Yeah.
But you
My
stayed the same, but that's okay.
Okay, my emojis go up and the hand went up. So Spirit are doing something between the two of us.
Yeah,
That's so funny.
they're always. Yeah, I don't know if you ever experienced this, but I always have issues with electronic things. Like both my wife and I have the same phone, but my phone does all kinds of wacky stuff where hers doesn't, or sometimes I have problems with computers. They just, because of my energy, I guess it turns them on
It's
yeah.
fascinating, because today, just since I had a session with a client before you, and since you and I have been chatting, my internet keeps going unstable. I'm like, it's just the connection between, there's something. It's obviously like our frequency, I'm assuming, must be so high. But I would have it like maybe once in a session where I'd get computers unstable. But it's happened continuously throughout our time together.
Yeah. Like, so when you were in the middle of talking, sometimes your video would freeze up a little bit, but your
Yes.
voice was still coming through. It was perfect.
Wow.
So, yeah,
Fantastic. Okay.
we're not gonna edit that part either. So,
Okay, great.
because your voice was still coming through perfectly, which was good. So
Awesome.
how long? When did you know? Like, I've seen spirits since I was 3 years old, but I just found out I was a medium right before I turned 50, like 6 months before that. And my birthday's in a couple of weeks. I'll be 56. So I've only been at this for 6 years, and I at this at a professional way, I guess I would call professional way, for about 4.5 years. That first year and a half for me, I ended up meeting a woman because I was looking for help because I had so much stuff going on. Um, I didn't know how to go and where to go and what to do with it and all that stuff. Um, so I found this one woman after this other people told me what was going on, and she put a group of mediums together, and she let me come to the group. Everyone in the group was full on medium, and I was just didn't know what was going on. And I come in, and then so within that first year, they helped me to develop everything. And like we were talking about earlier about trust, I had to be able to trust where the answers were coming from, that these were truly answers, and trust myself enough to give these answers to people. So that first year and a half was a trying time for me. So when did you realize that this is who you are?
I would say probably in the self-acceptance with my self-worth, my human emotions,
Yes.
more than likely, I would say since we've been in New Zealand so we came here 6 years ago, and it's probably in the last sort of 4.5, 5 years ago where I've really started to trust that knowing.
Yeah.
Again, the difference in story is I've brought people into my space when spirit have realized that I'm ready.
Right.
And a lot of they've also been mediums, very connected, and they're saying, Michelle, you've got to start trusting that knowing. So, but I was seeing spirit already when I was back in South Africa. I was doing what I was doing, but I played it very small. I kept myself very small.
Sure.
And I would do very like I started with my counseling skills was one of my courses when I worked part-time for as a caregiver for hospice. So this was when I was 33, 34 years old. I'm now 50. And then I studied neuro-linguistic programming. And, out of that whole year of doing that, I drove everybody mad because I had all these different questions. I always had my hand up, and the coach was like, oh my God, there she goes again, because I was off the charts. I was either crying my eyes out, and I just realized I was picking up on so much energy, but also releasing a lot of my own traumatic human experience that I've been through. And as I've let go, the more my light body has become light. I mean, funny story, but I met this medium, and I was always like so jovial, and so I thought, and I'm like always so happy, and she looked at me and she said, Michelle, your aura is just so dark. I was like, what? I was devastated. Like, what do you actually mean my aura is dark? Like, do you know me? Like, I'm actually a really light-hearted, funny person. And that's when I thought, oh, there's more work to be done. And she was right, because my body still felt heavy. I would still wake up in the morning and I'd still have negative thoughts going and negative processes. And whereas now I can shift them, I can catch myself being negative, but then I'm like, what's the observer saying? What's the bigger part of me actually saying, as opposed to being Michelle, the 3D human? And I can catch myself and flick that switch, whereas I never used to be able to do that. So I'd say definitely, I don't remember seeing spirit when I was young, but I realized I'm so good at working with so much. And in the last few years, I mean, my labels have changed so much. I'm sure people have gone, what the who actually are you, Michelle? Right. I'm like, I don't know, but absolutely, the more I've stepped into my knowing and going, actually, I know there's more out there. And this is what's got me through these COVID times. This is what, like, I've just gone, there's more, man. There's more to everything. And so I'd say pretty much in the last 5 years that I'm really tapping in.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. And it's such a beautiful experience to just wake up to that and go, wow, man. And I'm still working through belief systems. I'm still working through my lack at times. I'm still working through the physical experience of, wanting more. And then I just realized, actually, what is it I really want? I just want to show up in being in service. But I know, though, and I don't know if you found this, and I mentioned this on a podcast the other day, is that with the abilities and gifts that I have, there's an assumption that people seem to think that we must just give it away for free because it's energy. And I'm like, well, I've spent years and years and years of different courses and working on myself. And being of service is reciprocal. So I will give away sessions, and
Do it all
in
the
the
time.
moment,
Do it all the time.
and I receive in different ways. At the same time, I still have a mortgage to pay.
Yes,
I still have
it
to
does
feed my
take time
kids.
out of our day to do this as well. So we do.
Exactly.
So, and then that's what, in the very beginning for me, I started, when I first started giving readings to people, I was just doing them for free. And I had like a card and it said, donations are welcome, but whoever gave a donation, nobody. So,
Well,
but
it's
I did it for like 6
yes.
months. And then I had that one person call me up one time and ask me about some questions. And I said, well, I can answer them for you, but can you give me a few hours? And they say, why a few hours? I said, because you just called me and it's 2 o'clock in the morning and I have to go to work in 4 hours.
Wow.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I
Oh,
work the night
wow.
shift. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
Okay.
work the night shift, thanks. But yeah, so life does and spirit kept telling him that anyway, people, you're just gonna have to charge the money because, that's gonna weed out a lot of the unfortunate ones or the ones who just, they want an answer right now. They don't care about anything else. But yeah,
Yes.
you do have to, it does take time out of your day. It does take
Yes.
preparation for you to do a reading for someone.
Yes.
You have to calm yourself and get all that negative energy away from us in order
Yes.
to. Hi, I'm Daniel Jackson of Spirit Medium Daniel. Are you unsure of the path your life is taking? Do you need spiritual advice? Come book a reading with me and I will put your mind at ease and your worries to rest. www.spiritmediumdaniel.com.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that, that's also what I started requesting from Spirit. I said to them that, for me, we're all a work in progress in one way or the other. And whatever that may mean. But I also used to ask for donations, but it's people who wouldn't pay. That's a reflection on them. That's a reflection on their belief
Right.
system.
That's not you.
And that's when I started realizing, like, hold on, okay, there might be a bit of a mirror here. Like, I'm also okay to be, doing this work, but I also want to be able to clothe myself, and I want
Yes.
to be able to fly. I want to be able to travel, so that's the very real existence of where we live and
Right.
how we choose to live our lives.
Yeah, we still
And
live in this physical world where money is
absolutely,
part of it,
absolutely.
so.
And I've sort of said, like, at times I'm very happy, and I get shown in the moment. Okay,
Yes.
Michelle, gift the session, and it kind of just happens organically, which is really beautiful.
Yeah, somebody will walk by and I'll get a message and I just walk up to them. But I always, when spirit brings me a message other than I'm getting a message from someone else other than the archangels, I will ask my guys, archangels, is it okay to talk to this person? If I get a no,
Yes.
I don't.
Yes. Or I will go and ask permission. Like if I go up to somebody and say, look, I've received it. It actually happened in South Africa a few years ago. We'd walked out of a store and I got this this grandfather, please, I just have to connect with this young girl. So I walked up to her and I said to her, this is what I do. I'd like to ask your permission. Is it okay? And then I said, we can even go to the side of the store, and I said, but I've got this grandfather figure and she started crying. She goes, oh my God. And it meant so much to her. But
Yeah.
I feel that there's been times where people come and say, Michelle, just connect with that person over there. And I'm like, at a party. I'm like,
Right.
seriously, you think this is my party trick? Like,
Yeah,
I want to do
no.
this.
Yeah, I've had the same situation where I was at
And
a
it's
hospital.
rude. It's
Hospital for
rude.
my wife. She was getting a procedure done, and then I I get crazy things happen all the time. Like I got this real bad pain in my knee, and I was like, "Oh my God, my knee!" And she's like, "My wife's like, good thing we're in a hospital. I mean, maybe we'll go get you checked." And I was like, "Oh, it's some." And then I closed my eyes, and I saw a man sitting in a wheelchair with this blue and white flannel shirt on, and he's looking at me. And then as soon as he looks at me, I get the pain in my knee. I'm like, "What the heck?" And then my
Wow.
wife's like, I said, "It's for this lady over here. I gotta go
Yes.
talk to her." And then my wife says, "You know how people react, honey, I said, "But I gotta go talk." So I just walked up and said, "Excuse me, miss." I said, "Do you know what mediums are?" And she said, "Yeah, I've always wanted to go to one." And I said, "I am one." And then I said, "There's a man here in a wheelchair. He's got this blue and white shirt on, he's a black man." And because I can see everything. And she said, "What color shirt was he wearing?" I said, "A blue and white flannel shirt." She said, "That's my grandfather." I said, I'm getting a real bad pain in my knee and he's giving that to me. She said, he had polio.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and I said, he
Oh,
kept bumping into you like he's trying to give you a message, like he wants to apologize to you. She said, that makes sense. I said, why? She said, when he was alive, he always used to talk down to me when I was younger and like I was nothing. I said, well, he wants to apologize to you now because he wants to cross over and he won't until he does this for you. And she said, oh, I've let that go from my life. And I said, well, you need to go home and have a talk to him and let him know that it's okay to go. And then I gave her my email address and she emailed me right back and said, after I did that, I felt a sense of peace in my house because it always felt heavy in my house. And now that's gone. And I said, yeah, he's gone now. So
incredible.
yeah,
Hey. Oh,
but yeah, with that, when I get a message like that, I try to go do it. But if they tell me not to do it, then I
yes,
won't.
yes.
But yeah, I mean, so, but other
But you know, it's
times,
healing. There's no ego that's behind it.
yes,
That's the beauty of it. So I agree with what you're saying, and I hear you, because I would also always ask, is this for the greater good? Is this for the
right,
healing? Is this for
right,
the moment that is, because I'm consciously aware of wanting to come from that humble space, and
yes,
so when I get annoyed when somebody says, oh, we're at a party and can you just read the energy? And I'm
oh,
like, no, that's just arrogant. It's just
yeah,
like I said early on, I think I said it twice, it popped out. It's just so rude. It's so rude, and it is. And the very fiery South African that I can be, I tell people that I'm like, no, book a
yeah,
session, but you don't
yeah,
get to want me to read your daughter who's standing across the room there. She hasn't given permission.
right, yeah. When people come up to me and like I always tell people I'm a spirit medium. I don't call myself psychic medium, and because whenever you say psychic, first thing is that someone comes up to me and says, "Okay, Mr. Psychic, what am I thinking?" I said, "I don't know what you're thinking, but I think you're a douchebag." So yeah, go away. And everyone else thinks you're a douchebag too. So and they go, "Oh yeah, it is," and I go, "Yeah, no kidding." So go away. But
And
yeah,
I,
when they just want you to prove something to them every single time, and I'm not here to
yeah,
prove anything to anyone. I'm
no,
just here to help you, and if you're willing to receive that help, then great. But if you're just gonna just do something just to try to trick me or something like I do a live show once in a while, and I'll let people come in and ask questions for free. And I've had people, like a woman came in one time and she says, I want to talk to my brother who's passed away and blah 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 and all this stuff. And then I ask questions because I'm a human lie detector. So I ask them, I say, is she telling me the truth? And I get no. And I say, her brother's not actually dead. No. And then I said to her, sorry, but I can't answer that question. And she said, well, you're the medium. You're so big, man. All this. I said, well, no, I can't answer the question because your brother's not actually dead, because you just wanted to ask me that question to prove to everyone else that I'm a fraud. But I'm actually telling you right now, he's not actually dead. So you're actually lying to me. Well,
wow.
and she said, well, that's not the point. I said, no, it is the point. I said, you don't even realize that I just knew that your brother wasn't dead because you were trying to trick me. So,
Wow.
so stop trying to prove a point to everybody. If you don't believe in it, then don't believe in it. Doesn't mean you have to prove a
Yeah,
point for everyone else.
yeah.
And
Well,
everyone else in the room's like, get out of here. We don't want you in here. And I'm
yeah,
like,
of course. Yeah. Well, she just had that energy coming her way, which is
yeah,
just crazy. Sure,
yeah.
man.
There are a lot of people who are just trying to discredit people. I did a show for a woman who said, well, I am the skeptic. And I said, yeah, but the purpose of your show is to try to make me look bad. Well, no, 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 no. I said, yes, 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 yes. I said, it is. If it wasn't the intent, you wouldn't have a show because you're
Yeah,
trying to prove to the world that this is not real. So that's
yeah,
why you have a show. She said,
yeah,
I never looked at it like that. You're the
yeah,
first person who said that to me out of all the guests I had. I said, do you know why? She said, why? I said, because you can't lie to spirit, lady. I'll knock it off.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. She was like, had a
Amazing. Good for
revelation. And I was like,
you. Good for
stop,
you, Daniel.
Dude,
Yeah.
I told her, I asked her I said, when you were a kid, did you have a good relationship with your mom and dad? She said, yes. I said, so you had a great relationship with your father all the time? She said, yes. I said, okay, well, God's actually your real father, but why are you always asking him to prove to you he's actually your father? You didn't do that with your other father, did you? She said, no. I said, okay, knock it off.
Wow.
And she was like, oh,
What a
I
great
never
way
thought of
to
that.
put it across. Yeah. What a great way.
Yeah,
Sure.
well, sometimes you got to tell them, hey, just stop and listen, instead of trying to fight against it all the time. But
Yes,
it's hard
very
for
much
people to
so.
do. It's hard for people to do in this world. Unfortunately, we have a lot of naysayers or people trying to go against the grain just to prove a point. But
Yeah, yeah.
sometimes they just have to be shown. You don't have to go about it that way. You could just
No, or
let it
stop the
be.
fight, stop
Yeah,
the internal struggle,
yeah,
So,
absolutely.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
tell me, I think I've taken up enough of your time.
Oh,
With,
thank you
in
so much.
New
We could chat
Zealand. Yeah, yeah.
forever. Well,
Wow.
I wanted to mention something quickly because when I
Go
went to
ahead,
go look
lady.
at the website, and I saw you said spirit medium. Now, so I call myself spiritual medium, and I couldn't understand why that name came through. So when I saw you
Me
said
either.
spirit medium, I was like, oh, but I kept hearing it as spirit all medium spirit, so that's why I've kept spiritual medium,
Correct.
and I saw you said spirit medium. I'm like, yay.
Yay! Yeah, somebody just like me, sort of.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
you do something completely different than I do. But again, like when you were talking about your aura, and you said, "Oh, they said your aura is black." That's not what I see. I mean, your aura is purple as hell, and then
Oh,
I
thank
also see
you.
some orange in there as well. So
Beautiful. It has
yeah,
changed. That was a few years ago.
yeah, good. Well, good. Yeah, yeah. Because you
Thank
don't want
you.
your aura to be black, But I mean.
Yeah, yeah. I
But
was
even
very
some people say to
disappointed.
me all the time, if I see a dark energy shadow, that must be a real dark energy or something like that. And I always tell them, I say, what color is your shadow? And they say black. I say, yeah, okay, forget it.
Yeah,
Oh, I said, yeah. What they're just not doing is not revealing themselves to you.
yeah,
Just
yeah,
because that it's dark, doesn't
yeah,
mean it's something bad. Your shadow is dark, correct? Oh yeah,
yeah,
I never thought of it that way. Yeah, because they
yes,
don't, because they learn a lot of this stuff from TV and movies. They put salt
absolutely.
around your room, and that'll protect you from negative energies. You know what it does? It makes your room salty. That's what it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all it does.
You
Yeah,
got to vacuum up the salt.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
funny.
yeah. They did there's a lot of things out there that I try to as long as you're putting positive energy out there, as long as you're putting good intent out there, then
Yes,
you can and try to put an energy bubble around yourself to protect yourself every day. Then you can help to ward off these negative energies, and plus just being a positive person. But if you're walking around, gossiping about everybody and being a piece of crap all day, what do you think you're going to attract? That's but if you're a good person all the time, it's like two magnets. They just can't hold the same space. They're not gonna, you know. So
yeah.
just people just need to learn to stop listening to all the stuff that's out there on TV and movies, and start listening to the teachers actually trying to bring some truth to them as well as you do. Correct?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So
Yeah.
so where can my audience find you? Where can they connect with you?
Okay, so I have a website which is www.michellecarpenter.co.nz, and I believe you say NZ in the States.
Okay.
And they can go on there, and yeah. And then there's a form they can just fill out, and then I'll work out the time differences. I'm on Facebook, Mish Medium, and then I'm on Instagram, Michelle Carpenter or Mish Carpenter. And I have a YouTube channel as well. And I do some downloads with the Council of Eight there every now and again. And I also have a once a month free gathering, which is the last Monday, New Zealand time, which is the last Sunday in the States, where we come together and we do a heart meditation. I just put the link, the Zoom link underneath. And then they come through and they share a message for the collective, and then some people get to ask questions. It can be personal questions or questions for humanity, and that's a really beautiful way of just bringing people together who are open-hearted, like-minded. And a lot of people who are on these awakenings, I've come to notice, feel quite alone, and it's like you
Sure.
giving the information now. It's wonderful because it's like, well, where do we start? Where do we go next? What's the next part of our journey? And sometimes it's just bringing people together, because a lot of people at the same time, and I'm saying a lot, but it's not really, there can be a sense of embarrassment. I know I was
Yeah.
mocked a lot when I got into my spiritual journey, like, oh, you and your universe and that kind of thing. And it's just bringing us together. there's different ways of, just, even on YouTube, if somebody wants to connect with me, my website is up there too. And I really just want to help people walk with them on their journeys of self-healing and self-love. I'm not here to fix, I'm not here to rescue, I'm not here to be the crutch, because
Right.
that's
They have
where
to do the work themselves.
Absolutely. And the work is what Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about all the time. The
Right.
work
You're here to
is
get them
necessary.
started, and so they can figure out the rest themselves and then work at the rest of
Absolutely.
themselves.
Yes. So sometimes it's just igniting that inner spark
Sure.
to become a flame, and then they might bring somebody else into their space, or we might walk a journey together for a few sessions,
Yeah, hopefully you're the match and they're the gasoline.
That's an awesome way of saying it.
Just come up with it. Just like that.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, and that thing behind me, that's a book I just wrote, and basically it's a story about me and everything, but the purpose of that story is, just like I did for myself, that I knew there had to be other people. I knew there were other people out there like this. I knew they were going through this, so I had to go out and find my people. I had to go out and find other people who I could bounce information off of, so I can get some more information for myself as well, and then maybe help them at the same time. But not even just in a spiritual sense, but for any of us out there, we're all social beings. There's someone else. Just because you're going through something doesn't mean you're the only person who's going through this, and not to feel alone with that. There's 7.5 billion people out there. We're all meant to try to figure this out together. And so go out and find someone who's going to help you with this, so you're not always feeling alone.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And where is your YouTube channel on it? Do they just punch in Michelle Carpenter? Will you come up?
They put in Michelle Carpenter Medium, and then I'll come up. And there's I've also got my own sharing people, like your story, my story, sharing people's stories. I was guided to put that together. And there's some beautiful stories there about people like you and me who've walked different paths of awakening.
Yes.
So yeah. So thank you so much, Daniel.
So that's my book's called The New Beginning: My Awakening as a Spirit Medium. So
wow.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
There's also there's 20. The last chapter is called The Basics, and it's 25 channel messages from archangels to help us to become better people, and to help other people become better people, which in turn helps us to become better people. Yes. So trying to get things straightened out. When I submitted the book to the editor, everything had to be edited, because my writing is horrible, and my grammar's horrible. But when I submitted the 25 messages, she got back to me and she said, none of this has to be edited. And I said, because it came from a perfect place. That's why.
Incredible.
I wouldn't need to be edited, but yeah, kind of
incredible.
Creepy. Well, It was great having you on the show today,
Thank
Michelle.
You so much.
I really appreciate it. And I'm glad that you shared all this wealth of knowledge that you've gained through your practice, and hopefully people will pick up on that, and they will come and find you. And I just wrote down for your YouTube, so I'm gonna go over there and subscribe to your YouTube.
Thank you so much.
So I can listen and watch and write comments and stuff like that. But
thank you for having me. And
I appreciate it. And as I always tell everyone else in this in this business, as I'm going to tell you for the end of the show, is I hope everyone has a great day. Be good and don't do any stupid shit. Okay. But if you do, don't get caught.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Thank you so much for having me, and I wish you the most beautiful day. It's been amazing.
Thanks, you too. Yeah, be good and try not to do any stupid stuff today.
This was Beyond the Veil with Daniel Jackson, with part 2 of Love is Why We Are Here. Subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss any future episodes. For more information about Michelle, visit her at www.michellecarpenter.co.nz. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on Beyond the Veil with Daniel Jackson.